Welcome to Earth Empaths.
Recording, ladies. We had so much fun last week recording that we decided to do it again, right? So I'm Christine, here today with Lily, Claudia, and Melissa. I don't think we need much of an introduction right now. All I really want to say is thank you to everybody that's replied, reacted, contacted us from our last talk, because it really helps focus us too. And all information is good information, is something I like to say. So I'm not sure we do this without really ever planning where we're going to go, what we're going to do. It's sort of like a non-agenda conversation. But I think we'll just take off today with some of the questions that came up on the Earth Soul Group Facebook page. Started a conversation about reptilians, Dracos, interdimensional beings, and concerns, questions, experiences. And so I'm just going to put it out there, and whoever wants to jump in and start talking about it, or add whatever you think might be really an appropriate continuation of our conversation.
Well, that was an interesting conversation we had last time, right? And so this is a freestyle for us, a freestyle show. I really enjoyed the conversation we had last time, because it seems like there's, with this energy that we've been integrating, it seems like we have a lot more clarity about those things that we can share. So I think that's what is happening, and the reason why people are reacting to it is because a lot of people are going through a real awakening, which I call, because we did have that sort of inorganic, staged kind of fake awakening, as I used to call it. That was just pure harvest of souls, and now we're awakening for real. And so all the subjects are becoming real, and so we're gonna just keep sharing, because that's what I do, is just share what I'm going through. And so if that's gonna help somebody and to go through their own experiences, or to go through their own awakening process, because this awakening process is real, and you feel it and you experience, and all the energy and everything that is happening to you, it is all experienced by you. So that's real awakening, and that's real work. And so what we're doing right now is we have to embody into our spirit, our soul, our body, all has to become this one spirit creation, which is source, which is living light. And so, but of course, we can't do that without going into all the subjects that are us, because I'm talking about, we got to own all of ourselves. Call it multidimensional, call it, universal self, or whatever you want to call it. But accepting yourself is the only way to be in charge of your creation. And so that's what we're doing. We're trying to work through all the layers of figuring out who we are and what is our creation. And, going through this real awakening process, it's very interesting and it's exciting because the clarity on so many things and seeing the difference with all the energies and being able to read all these energies, it's been amazing. And so to that process, I think, through spirit, through being in that 0 point, through being in neutral point, it gives you a perspective of like 360 degrees view of who you are. So to me, that's been an amazing time to have all these clarities and so many things are starting to make sense how spirit reality actually is, because we haven't had that for most of the time. What happened is our spirit was used to just animate an inorganic reality for somebody else. We were just motors, power motors for this cartoonish reality for the consciousness that is dead. And so now we're on a whole different path. And so all of that, what we learned in the past, we're now seeing it from a different perspective. And this is what I think is happening with, what happened with that conversation in Earth Soul Group is that people are all coming up to that level and saying, okay, what is this thing about the dragons, the Dracos and everything? Because there seemed to be like it's a campaign to push on humanity that negative side of it. And there is a very big reason behind it, so we can reject it within us. So we can keep animating the reality that is not ours.
So for it's division, right? It's that division of the self, that
Yes.
non-integrated self. And I love what you said, Lily, about seeing in 360 degrees or in a spherical manner. I just want to touch on that too, because I became aware of that some time back. That was, I already mentioned earlier when we were talking before we started recording, that when I first became aware that something really was changing, and it was right around 2000, into 2011, 2012, it was because my perception started to shift. And I think the best we can do, really, or the best I feel I can do right now, is try to describe my own inner journey, just like you and like Melissa and Claudia, and underline again and again and again to anybody listening that we are individuated spirits within spirit. And so we're all going to experience things slightly differently, and yet there will be aspects that will be very similar. So when I became aware that I really started focusing on my back, because I became very aware that the way this cartoon or created or manipulated reality is that it grabs us and pulls us straight forward, right? And we never see what's behind us. And so that became very important for me. And when you said it earlier, when I started to develop that, it wasn't like I didn't do exercises, I just became aware. You step into a field of truth, because you're now not being fooled. You're not being led like a bull by the nose ring down a path that somebody wants to take you. And I feel, for me, that became very important, really, really important. So my awareness while I'm speaking or where I'm talking, I also am aware always around me. And it's a sphere. It's not even 360. It's a globe. It's like I'm my own globe when I'm in that 0 point of consciousness. It's not always there, but when I'm residing there, there's no fear. There's no need to manipulate. There's no need to have anything conform to me, because I'm feeling a sense of completeness. And I think that's the biggest part of, like, talking about the reptilian brain, talking about the other dimensional entities that we've been dealing with. I had plenty of battles. Who hasn't here, right? And yet, the closer I get to that conscious awareness point, I don't see thing as a battle. any longer. I see it as an expansion of my awareness. It's really distinct. And it's hard to explain because at the same time, the logical mind says, there's bad shit out there. No doubt about it. There is. But I would say my inner journey is to extract all of my energy from that bad shit, not give it any part of me, not feed it the Hydra any longer. You know, if there's an attachment on me, find out where it is so I can detach from it, but not in the sense of fear or battle or hate. Because as soon as we set up that dynamic, we're actually feeding back into what it wants from us. So,
yes, and that's a crucial point. Is and we are just sharing what we feel. This is the fearlessness. Like the fear does not exist in that spirit reality. It has no, because all is known in that. So there is no anything to be afraid of as a creator. Mm-hmm. Because that's what it is. Your spirit is the creator part of you. But I think the tricky thing with this cartoonish reality that is sort of trying to harvest souls into that way of being to give power and their energy to this cartoonish reality. I mean, it's no different than people giving their energy into political battles. You know, this is no different with this reality that we are right now, that we are facing right now. Is right here is this cartoonish consciousness that is only can live. It can only live because it's a cartoon, basically. It can only live by us giving it life. And this is the thing, is when you're in this sphere, and that's why, like, you know, we find ourselves that we laugh a lot at this cartoonish consciousness and make jokes, and people take it personally. They think it's them that we're laughing at. We're just laughing at this cartoonish consciousness, because in this sphere of spirit, you see how cartoonish it is. You see how powerless it is without us. And we understand how easily we can drop it. We can drop it like that.
See, that's such a key, because we've invented all these belief systems and all these, you know, all the self-help books. I'm not taking away from any of that. This has all been a passage for consciousness of humanity right now. It's been beautiful. It's a journey, right? But we've kept ourselves locked into that, right? Oh, well, I have to work on that one, or I've got to go over here and do my shadow work, and I've got to dig down deep. And instead of just accepting our state of being, which is going to emerge forward exactly what we need to deal with, right? And that's all we really have to do. And then we have choice. And it is a choice. It may not feel like it at first. You know, you may wrestle with some really deep issues because they're there. Betrayal, trauma. It's not that. I don't say it's easy. But when you reach that point of saying, I have a choice and I can change anytime I want. And then the next step is you become fluid, because now you're in touch with that universal flow, all right, that's directing your individuated spirit within this great field. And it doesn't even feel like choice anymore. It's a knowing at that point, right?
Yes,
but
totally.
It is always a choice. And so many people that are in victim consciousness are afraid right now, just don't understand that this is their choice. And the minute you choose to step out of victim, or the minute you choose that, you may have battles. You might have to go through quite a bit of things within your own psyche to understand, because that Hydra, that system, that cartoon reality, I love that you call it that, Lily. That's so great. It needs you. It needs you. It needs you. It's not going to let you go all that easily. it's convinced you that you have to have a job and pay taxes and have a mortgage, and if you don't have a husband and you need 2.2 children. I mean, it's convinced you to get vaccinated. It's convinced you of all these things, but you always have that choice. And man, I love that. I want to encourage anybody that might listen to this is like, try it. Choose differently.
I know, and there's a lot of sort of people that are sort of out there, putting this cartoonish reality, pushing it on humanity, with all this spiritual teachings and everything, with the I don't know, all kinds of it has a cartoonish feeling to it, and the thing is that a lot of people right now in spiritual communities are talking about the sovereignty and freedom, and they think that somehow can be given to us by this cartoonish reality. And this is the thing that is very obvious when people are actually lying about being sovereign themselves and being free themselves. They're lying, and they're lying that that's where they're going, because when they try to go into that reality and try to change that reality so they can be free and sovereign, that's a trap, to trap a soul. Because right now the thing is that we are doing right now is we are taking this reality, living reality, and we want to embody or bring all soul layers of, or all of our existence, that is our soul frequency, into this body, into oneness with it, and into this living field. And so people that are working for soul harvesting, for this animated a reality, for this dead-light consciousness, they will tell you that you gain freedom and sovereignty by giving your power and giving your energy into this consciousness. So you gotta go and fight this, or you gotta go and prove this cartoon character wrong, or that cartoon character. I can tell you, even in alternative media, when energetically I look at people now, and those that are projecting this reality on us, energetically they look like cartoonish characters. This is how low things has got with the system, but that's a good thing, because they are too obvious right now. And so what happens is these people tell you that you got to be out of that. But what we're telling is that in this spirit reality, it is very easy to become free and sovereign, because it's right here. Your freedom and your sovereignty is right here. And if you believe that through victim and victimizer games that you somehow can become free fighting its battles, because through those battles it lives, because it lives on the friction energy. So that's why people are ready to constantly fight the system, fight this, and they don't realize that this bubble of living light is right here. All you have to do is extend it, and then all this energy is gonna be outside of you, and this reality is gonna be outside of you, and you can be the observer of it. And when you are in this sphere, spirit living field, you understand that it is you, all the way up to the living field, that some call it a dragon frequency, right? That's a living light. Exactly. That's part of our existence too. And so you are there, you become so freaking powerful in that, but it's not that power. So, I'm going to destroy these cartoon characters. I don't want to destroy them because I feel bad for these people. And not bad, but I see that they don't feel alive.
Right.
They feel dead. And this is why people feel so dead, is when they serve this dead light consciousness. They're dead inside. And I had a bit of the experience with this kind of souls, people that I started to call artificial souls, but they're like the harvested souls that can only perceive itself from this animated state of being.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like caught into keep projecting into
They have to keep the
world.
projection going. They have to. They're compelled to keep that projection going because there's nothing inside here. And can I just jump in for a second, Lily, because it just hit me really, like when you were saying that. So there's those that have given that over so much that they're so focused on the projection that they have to keep that going. Whatever way, everywhere from being shopaholics to being media personalities to being whatever, stage actors, whatever. You can see that. And there's this large mass of humanity right now that's they're halfway between. They're between that world that's pulling them and that other path. And so they're still animated, right? They still have that life animation, but they haven't woken up enough to call back. And it just hit me. You know what hit me? It was like, if we have a battle right now, that's the battle. That's why I speak. Not because I'm fighting anything, but because if one person out there goes, oh, wow, I'm going to take a piece of myself that's little by little by little by little, by piece, by individual, by thought patterns, by seeing things that you didn't see before. And I think it's changing. I mean, I see it changing in those.
And in sharing our own experience, it's not really a battle because we're not putting effort into it. It still is their choice. It still has to be their choice to take the information and make the change within themselves, that subtle shift into this moment, and to unhook. So it's even in observing what would appear to be a battle on the outside, we're not battling against it. We're still offering the way out. It's still a choice for those who are in the middle of it.
Mm-hmm. And whether it's one choice today, one step today for somebody. Lily jumped off the screen. I don't know what happened.
But yeah, it's moment by moment. And It's not even today. It's like, okay, 5 seconds ago. And if you didn't like the outcome, if you don't like the vibration of what you just did, right then and there, shift it. Like you can feel when your soul is coming through you, you can feel everything changes. Your movements change, the way you speak changes. Everything about how you're perceiving everything in your reality shifts. And the moment that you feel that out of alignment, it's just that moment right then and there, shift it back. Not let's wait till Monday to start the diet. Monday doesn't even exist.
Exactly, Melissa. Wow, I just wrote that exact thing to a friend this morning. Like, we're so deeply immersed right now in that consciousness that Lily's talking about, that awakening consciousness that knows itself within everything. And that it's like I feel it so deeply. It's not like I'm dealing with these great big swings right now. The great big pendulum swings seem to have like come into an alignment. But man, the minute I'm out of that, it's like everything goes, wait, what's here? Because I'm holding a field around me. I know I am. And when I go off, I start to feel that. And it just brings something back, align yourself right now, get present, do something that you need to do, what it is. Sometimes it's cry, sometimes it's go for a walk, sometimes it's just sit in silence, sometimes it's focus on some writing. It doesn't really matter what it is. Little comedy routine glitch, a glitch in the system. So just picking it up, Melissa, you were finishing up saying about how speaking is, how each of us sharing from our own inner truth, or as close as we get to our truth, is giving information to others to pick up on. to look
Yes.
at our own truth. There's really not about setting up a battle of right or wrong. I think we're clearly have moved out of that paradigm. There is no right, there is no wrong. There just is what is.
Wow.
And if we can get really down to that simplicity, then we really have a chance.
Yes.
I wanted to go back to something that Lily said, and because I would like to get some clarity myself. I'm reading that primordial Gnosis papers right now, which is very interesting. That differentiation between spirit, soul, and body or matter, and just looking at the soul package, because that's how I see it. And I think of Jeffrey with his work on metabiology. Like being the chaperone cell, like the soul holds all of what is the spiritual experiential self through matter. And at some point we're in a process of metamorphosis right now, where the soul's ready to release something. And I don't know what that looks like to you, Lily. I know that you've spoken about that sometimes.
I think our true awakening and all of this, and I always say that we know exactly what we're doing. And when I started first speaking and sharing what I was going through, I said that we woken up all in this very interesting way, because I said this living light energy had played the cartoonish game, and and sort of, because I have a feeling that nothing is what it seemed. So have to look at everything from a different perspective. And so what I'm seeing is that this is a healing for the soul's path. And so for that, yes, there is some kind of metaphors, force, whatever, the change is happening on the soul level. It's because what most of the souls that were source connected living beings caught in this cartoonish reality, by that dead-like energy, they were caught, and they were feeding that reality. And right now that whole thing is changed, and now it's about reconciling the imprisonment that we've been in, letting it go, releasing it, and clearing our soul to the point to where it is becomes the spherical reality, where it is, all of it is part of you. And that's why we talk about all those different layers of our soul, and different how do you say, a different DNA that we have, all these different frequencies and different energy signatures, and all of that stuff that we have to put it together into one being. And I think what is happening with a lot of souls is that souls that been sort of harvested and being working to just animate or give life to the dead-like consciousness, they're right now have to wake up to their spirit, and the spirit has to, and they have to see that the real choices are all the possibilities within them. That's our real choices. But this cartoonish reality, it gives us the illusion of choice, right? Which is on every level of entrapment of the system, there's always an illusion of choice that is presented. Because at the core of us, of a living being connected to source, we know that we are connected to all possibilities. But for them to trap us in, to keep giving the life to this inorganic reality, they had to present us with the illusion of choice instead. And so the illusion of choice is the basic, or the basis, the foundation for all these programs, the illusion of choice. But it's not all possibilities within, and it's becoming very obvious to people that the choice that they had was just an illusion of choice.
So that's
it was not real.
and they limit your, like you said, they limit your options.
Yes.
But yeah, there is no choice. I mean, there really isn't. If you are going to do this journey, I know we're using the word choice, and it almost is. It's going to become a little confusing, but there really is no choice. If you choose to make a out of alignment decision, it is so painful. That's really not a choice. I mean, it looks like it's a choice, but the repercussions of it are telling you that wasn't really a choice. You know, it's so painful. It's so constricting. It's not the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you realize that, once you come into that place where you lose, I shouldn't say lose, you become so filled with the momentum of alignment that what appears to be that pause before you go this way or that way, there's no longer that pause. It's that fluidity that we were talking about. And when you're in that space, it accesses all possibilities. Your awareness expands because you're no longer in this contraction. Mm-hmm. You have everything available to you.
Interesting, Melissa. Yeah. Just to weave too, because we are using words like choice, DNA strands, trying to bring this all together into an integrated or coherent understanding, which is what I went through when I started, after our last talk and reading today. It's like, how do we integrate that reptilian Draco self? How do we integrate into our own being all of these aspects of our creation? Because they're also in our creation. They aren't separate from our creation, right? And so we're going to talk to Claudia in a moment, but I had a vision this morning that there's our soul, that's our individuated self that's going through this alchemical process, and each of us very individually, but there seems to be a larger body, let's just call it a larger body, at the moment of knowledge that we all tap into. And I felt this feeling today is when you get out of, when I'm not in judgmentalness or calling anybody else right or wrong, I started to see angles of projection within a sphere, and they've been so shattered that as we really embrace each other, we embrace all of these aspects that have been played out through eons of time. The shattered reality, which is, you call it the living light, Lily. I mean, where we all were fractured so much that we didn't know where we were or who we were anymore, and we had to find our way back here. That when we're in our place and we're in our own angle projection, without doubt, without fear, we're actually somehow making something else whole. Not just our individual self, but something much, what you can call it, maybe it's the Gaia, it's the earth body, maybe it's the goddess. I don't really know. I didn't give it a name. Just started to understand that today. And I don't know if anybody's had any experiences along that line. And I wanted to bring Claudia in too, is like this thing about the Draco and the dragon energies and all of this, the snake energies, serpent energies, whatever we've been told to be afraid of, are the very things we need to embrace the most. And so I wanted to bring Claudia in that, and I see that in our DNA. And perhaps that's what I'm looking at in a way. Because it's hard to put it into words right now. Perhaps I'm looking at with the firing off of the codes within our own DNA. I'm not really even sure what I'm saying right now. But I put it, but there it is.
It's interesting that the other day I watched a little video from a guy that seems to be knowing a lot about cannabis, and the fact that he said something that we have cannabis in our DNA. And not too long ago, I had a sort of an insight that type of plant was a dragon food. I mean, dinosaur food and all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. And then here it was very sort of, and that's why it is within our DNA now. It's like, just recently listening to that guy, and something that I had an insight about long time ago, and then it like connected and made sense to me. Mm-hmm. Why? And this is the thing that it's like, it's such a different view on the world from this place that is you as a living creator, it's very different. And so for that to see how this cartoonish reality is trying to manipulate that, the biggest power that is ours, because we all know that their fake magic is done through what power, what gives the magic here, the power that it's dragon frequency, right? And I know there's some people that had been maybe a witnesses only, or some of this magic rituals that the system does. They always summon dragon energy.
Mm-hmm.
Always, because that's the original magic. Because that holds the most primal energies within us, our being. And so if we reject the most primal energy about us, we reject our own magic.
And our own power.
And our own power.
Mm-hmm.
And if we reject it, and by rejecting it, we've given it to the system.
Creating resistance.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, and you recognize that, and it's so clearly, you see the manipulation. And it's like, wow. Like you were just saying, Christine, they took that which is the most powerful to a human being and turn it against us. Through belief systems. Through belief systems.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And how many of those clowns running around right now, even in spiritual communities, running around and telling people that your power is horrible for you. That, that activating the primal energies is, oh, you are a horrific person. You are negative. You are this, you are that. I mean, it's just to see these people try to devour your personality, because that's all they can do, because they cannot touch that power. So they cannot really, so all they can go after is our personalities or our egos, and they try to destroy us through egos, because that's the only access they have is to our ego. And that, I wanted to share that little experience that I had that was very much a learning experience for me. That was very interesting. In November, December of last year, I'm constantly working on myself. I mean, this is about me. So I never really hit this. This is about me. And so whatever comes into my reality, I process it this way. It's like, what is that has to do with my process? What does that has to do? Or, if it's showing up in my reality, because my reality is about me, so I'm looking at it, what it has to do with me, and what am I learning here? What am I integrating here? What am I, and that was the time when I just felt this energy, like a entity type of thing. It started to come into my field, and it started to, and some things were, in my external reality, there were some people that come in, and they sort of try to, in a way, control me, or try to, do something with it. And that energy started coming into my reality and my field to watch me. And when I recognized that energy was here, and it was keep coming, but I was in this bubble, I recognized that my spirit had created this bubble, and there was this nastiness all happening around, and like on the middle of the night, I would feel like a psychic type of attempts to break through into my field. And it wasn't like to damage me or anything, because it was powerless to do anything with my spirit energy. But all it wanted to do is it want to read my thoughts. It want to read my thoughts, so then it can then reprogram. There was a very specific person that was then projecting its intent on me. But first, this energy was doing the circle. It was coming in and trying to read my thoughts and all of that stuff. So then it can create, program, or push this specific individual that it was controlling to try to poke through. And that person would act in it. And so I was aware of it, like what it was trying to do. And then that exact same energy started projecting at me through this person trying to control me and trying to do all this stuff. And this was the time when I had a spirit insight that I need to start sharing with other people. And we was supposed to move into this sharing more about spirit. So because the awakening was about to go big, you know, this was the year in 2016 that I felt like awakening was going to go big. And so for that energy to try to control that, because this is what it's trying to do. It's trying to control it. But this is the fun part that I figured it out about it. You can trick it. You can laugh at it because it cannot have access to your spirit.
Right.
It cannot. And by observing this energy as it tries to read my mind, I was given the thoughts. I started experimenting with it. So I was given the thoughts when it was reading me, just to see if it's going to come back from that individual back at me. And it did every single time, to the point to where it was like I was so interested in to keep on trying to figure out what it is. My spirit told me this is the souls that have that hole within them, that they are not aware of their spirit. Their spirit is just asleep, sort of like in Matrix movie, you know, when he was still asleep in that body. This is the way I saw the spirit within that individual. It was not aware at all. And so because of that, I was able with my spirit pop into that as an observer and watch the programs being created. It was so fascinating. So what this energy did once, and it didn't understand that I was experimenting on it until I actually then went ahead and took an action to that person, and I cut it and I said, thank you so much for this experiment, for this experience, because I learned so much about this cartoonish energy. I learned the feel of it so well, and I learned how it works. And as much weaknesses as it has, I mean, it's going to take me 3 hours to list all of it, but it is so weak compared to spirit energy that I don't know how to explain to people, because there's no words for it. That the difference in that energy, if only people could understand that within spirit, within you have all the possibilities. Why would anybody who knows that you hold all the possibilities will still be sticking to this cheap choices, illusion of choices? And the illusion of choices are cheap. That's what they're cheap. It's like this energy has no value. It has no value whatsoever. There is a zero value. But there was an interesting reaction of this energy once I let it know that I've been observing you and I know everything about you. Well, it was thinking that it was absorbing me, but I actually used that to learn everything about it. And so when I let that person know, you know, you're obvious, that person just went ballistic and went after people, trying to create a storm, you know, and attack my personality and my ego, because that's all it can do. It can attack my personality and my ego. But it was very interesting to watch. And I wish I could explain to people how it feels to know that difference. It's absolutely amazing. And it's so empowering to feel that, to know that you are so much more powerful in your spirit than that energy could ever be. It has no value. We are the value. We hold it all within. And this is why we say it's so easy, because all you have to do is you take your soul with everything that is there. All of your experiences are there, but you have to, the only value your soul will have is if you give it with your spirit. Because if you're gonna give your soul frequency to some other external being, you are being harvested. And there is no victimizer excuses that you can come up with that will make that okay. It's not okay. You know, I'm seeing so many people trying to come up with all these excuses for their own victim state of being. They're trying to prove to themselves that they made the right choice. So what they will do is they constantly need approval from others that they made the right choice. But that was the illusion of choice to begin with. And this is what people don't understand. That was the illusion of choice that you are protecting as your choice. But it's not. It's entrapment. And then if you actually go with yourself and with your spirit, then you don't have to protect your choice. You don't have to constantly play the game of victim and victimizer so your choice makes sense to you. You know? Because in spirit, like you were saying, Melissa, there is no that thing. You just are. You are flowing in the universal flow. You're flowing in this river of life that you know that's your life. And you don't, and your choice don't need protection. It doesn't need to be proven right. It doesn't need to be proven wrong. And that's why all those attempts, we're at this point right now, you just laugh about it. And that's it. You just smile, laugh, and you understand exactly where people are. And there's so many people out there right now that they're so busy trying to find the reasons why they need to protect the cartoonish reality. And the reasons they're coming up with are extremely funny to me. Extremely funny, because people have reasons that are unbelievably crazy. You know, they protect their own victim game. And all I want to ask them is, why do you want to be a victim? Didn't you have enough of this reality? Haven't you had enough of this cartoon bullshit?
Yeah.
I guess not. I guess not. And so people will reject everything about themselves. and the thing is that the dead souls, this is what I'm calling them, those are the dead souls that are alive, and they don't know that they're alive because they're disconnected from their spirit and disconnected from their body. And so it's dead souls trying to pretend that they're alive. It's a very sad situation, but it's very obvious as well that there is no reason for a human being right now to play a victim and victimizer game. There's no reason for it, because we know right now, look at our government. I mean, they're a freaking comedy show, because it is cartoonish. And for people to put so much stress on themselves try to figure it out what they're doing. It's like, why? Why even to do that? Why waste your energy on the illusion
But I think that I was
that
going
can,
to say,
yeah,
I was going to say, I think that's why it's so crazy, because there is all of this. It's from within to without, right? And so all of the cartoonishness is going to be showing itself as people are realizing the difference between their authentic spirit or soul and this idea of what they've put on for a while, you know, the character that they chose to play. And so the politics and everything that we're seeing in the external is appearing so cartoonish, because we're at that realization of what a difference on the ends of the spectrum. You know, it's like it's so different, and I feel like they're behaving in this way because people are so asleep also that it has to be so ridiculous, where you're like, are you kidding me? This is allowed? Like where's the integrity? Where is the self-respect, the honor, you know, and just looking at the quality of what's happening out there. It has to be that way in order for people to recognize it, I think.
yeah, it's almost like we're watching people picking either you know, team Jerry or team Tom, and then putting there like it's real. You know, they're worried about it. They're, you know, how it's the same with the political game, but that's the same thing. It's like people are worried about, oh, the Dracos are doing this. That's, it's just here. It's a program, but and so but they make it real because they are the ones that give in their living energy to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's real for them.
Yes.
Oh,
So
I think they call them television programs. That's the program. I mean,
yes.
And it's insane, because even though people recognize, like the people that are looking at this now, and they're kind of looking in both directions, they recognize the ridiculousness of it. Especially when we come into the political arena right now, it's absurd. It's over the top absurd. It doesn't matter what country you're looking at it. But I mean, Trump and Hillary. I mean, really? I mean, but you know what? Even though they know it's ridiculous, they still give their energy to it. They still watch the television program. They still go out with their friends and discuss Trump. All right? I mean, and it's like, I love it. You know, Tom and Jerry. I mean, you might as well be talking about a cartoon program. And yet somehow that energetic hook is still there. And to me, that is still gets in through the negation of self, the negation of embracing our own power. So even the semi-aware or semi-awakened beings on the planet right now haven't reached that state yet of breaking free, letting go of that. Right? So you know, we're. I feel like we're in this very fluid, one way of putting it, but we're in this. You know, it's like this pendulum is going like this now. You know, and which way is it really going to go? And that's a personal choice, but there's also the more dynamic of the human choice right now. And I think that's what we're ultimately talking about, and why we're talking is to help the human consciousness hear things and empower it to make the choice. I mean, really, killing our planet is okay? I mean, I always go to these places like, we've been awake for a long time, people. Okay, we've seen this now, all right? I'm talking to people of my generation. We've been awake for 40 years. What are we going to do, all right? How many hooks are you still letting in? How much of your energy are you still giving over to the game? And if people are really brutally self-honest with themselves, they have to come up. I have to be brutally honest with myself. I have to see where I am giving my energy still. You know, I'm seeing still like, you know, the fucking monetary system. Excuse me, you know, and yet it's gotten so bad. It's like we can't travel without a passport. We can't have exchange over distance without the need of money. All right. Those are, to me, are still the law system. I mean, we really need to really get into that. And I'm sure we will, maybe not today, because I have to admit, I'm not out of that yet. I haven't manifested enough of my own inner energy, my own power to walk free from it. All right. To pull from the ethers what I need as a living light being to actually manifest something. But I know that's part of my journey, right? I can see that. And it's not just me, it's others. We're reaching into that right now, that aspect of ourselves. But, for you and others that are, I mean, it's hard. I get it. You're still on a job, you're paying your taxes, you're still doing these things. How are we going to change it? I mean, it's not like we're asleep, honestly. We're just have put on our blinders because we're like, oh my God, I can't deal with this. Really, that's the action. And if you're a victim, you are equally responsible to the victimizer. There can be no victimizer if there's no victim. It's just like, it doesn't work.
I just want to add to that, you're talking about law and everything with this energy that I was talking about, that I was playing with back in November or December. You know what I really wanted? Because what we need is eventually the law and that all of that stuff, and I talk about that, how we are now processing that collective levels awakening process. So this is why we're talking, and this is why when in November and all of the stuff, I started feeling like this is the way to do it. We need to come together, those of us, because to co-create the changes on the collective levels. And that was pretty much a call from a spirit to start coming together with people that are on that level, to start co-creating through spirit, and spirit. And so what this energy was trying to do, because that was my intent, and as I was creating intent to connect with these people and have this a freestyle exchange, to where it's not controlled environment or anything, like a lot of people in alternative media, they're in that still hierarchical system, to where their information is given, through the hierarchical system. And this is what I was trying to get away from. Mm-hmm. And this is when I, like in Earth Soul Group, what I did is I started having this, and I've asked people, let's have a group conversations. Let's have, an ESG chat where everybody can call in and talk about stuff that we're going through. And so this energy got really nervous about us coming together. And I noticed that because it started attacking me in that way, kind of everything, trying to stop. And so the person that it was working through, it was one of the admins in the group. And so what she was doing is trying to stop these talks, and as far as like coming up with silly reasons why it's not good to have the co-creative, honest, open talks about our own path. It wanted to stop the coming together of those that are really awake. Because when we do come together, we are even more powerful. And this is when we start manifesting on collective levels, our spirit expression on collective levels, when we come together and co-create in spirit. So that energy was trying to stop it. So it would do anything. So what it did, it created chaos in that whole thing where people were coming together and coming up with a lot of things. And so what it did is try to control it. So what it does is tries to come into and to control it, control it. And if it can't, it will try to destroy it. So it tried to destroy it once I said, you don't have a control over it. So what it tries to destroy your ideas and all of that stuff. And in some cases, in a couple of things, what it did, it took my ideas and claimed it as it was her ideas, and took it somewhere else, and basically stole it and claims it as its ideas. And so this is the reason why I'm saying this, is because it's very it's just an example to understand how it tries to do. try to control, or how it tries to come into our reality. Because we have to understand it, it's very desperate. So if we didn't have all these problems or people trying to control us or anything, I would worry that we're not on the right path. Because it's actually an indication that you're doing something right. When you have that friction energy outside, it's going a little, you know, it's like it's going a little crazy. It's like the program is just going. Have you ever had your computer infected and it just like goes like that? I mean, that's literally how I observe that consciousness go. Yeah. Like that. It freaked out. It freaked out. And so for us, we have to understand that that is always going to be there for as long as the system is active, for as long as there's one person on this planet that's going to give its energy to it, it's going to still hang on to it, and it's still going to, even if it's 1% left, because it's when everybody cuts it off, this is when it dies. And this is how we sort of, like, it's dead already. We just need to put it out of its own misery by withdrawing our creation from it. And the cartoon will stop. And then it's real reality. This is, I'm talking about something that we can do. And what you were saying about the law and everything, there's a very easy way out of this. Spirit has amazing, simple solutions. We just go tribal. And the law and the countries that are corporations, if we go tribal, and I mean original, correct tribal, not the manipulated tribal, but tribal is, I mean, it will, all of that contracts in agreements for corporations as country can be dissolved by people choosing to go tribal like that, and it's done.
Actually, all we have to do is turn our back to the admiralty system. You know, stand our ground that we are not persons, but we are living beings. And once there are enough of us, you know, all the order followers will get two shits to go on the road.
Yep. Yeah. And I think that's the key, Claudia, is that when there's enough of us, but that consciousness field is building right now, and this is part of what we're thinking about.
Yeah.
And so, and I, you know, Lily, actually, just right now, I keep, you know, this, I love these conversations because I bounce off of the energy of what I'm hearing. And, you know, that vision I was trying to explain of these angles or points of view, like when we were tribal original people, we were all in communion with each other, each of us within our own aspect or angle of this creation. We all came in as creators within an angle, right? And so I'm seeing that in some way right now that I can't really completely grasp, but that's what I see is happening on the, we could call it on the ether or the ethereal planes around us right now, as that spiritual self is waking up, as we are claiming that tribal self. Because I think of myself as nomad. I think of myself as gypsy. I don't, you know, this stated, you know, boxed in reality that I for much of my life, tried to conform to because it was too painful not to, right? You know, breaking free of that box, you know, that's the fluid state of being. And we all know that the free energy is here. We all know that the anti-gravitational devices have been invented for hundreds of years now, right? So we know that within, let's say, a technological tribal reality of each of us embracing and loving each other for what we are. I'm not going to be like you, right? My oversoul group may be something very different, but I can embrace yours because you're part of that creation. That the transformation here is totally doable. totally simple. It is. And yet we're still having to pull back the energy from the matrix right now, or the recreated or manipulated reality. And that's why it's so beautiful watching everything that comes out into, even in the compromised alternative media field, and boy, is it compromised. But there's still information there, right? There's amazing physicists, scientists, people that are searching the origins, the history, the alien. All of that is it really puts us in our face. It's been here all along.
And you know what I say? That every level has a people that are awakening.
Mm-hmm.
And so on that each level, they will know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And how to change that. We already came into this lifetime with the solution. We hold it within. I felt it very strongly when you were talking about the timing before we started recording, Christine, that it was in 2011, 2012.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is when, the real awakening started happening for me, but was interesting that, and I think that Gnostics talk about that, this energy, you have to face it to break it within you. So you can't do it from afar because you are not, your spirit is everything. So you got to face it within you. And that's why we were talking about, you facing it through within you, and you facing it without. And so you're actually, by reconciling and letting go within, you're actually in the outside world, in the outside reality, or on a collective field. You're damaging it because you're neutralizing it. And it cannot. So this is why it was so important that when people wake up for real, that they become this energy, that we become it, because it does affect the collective, because we are part of collective. I am not separate from a collective humanity. So, and I am in collective humanity, within collective humanity, part of collective humanity, and I am expressing my spirit, which is living reality. And so it affects everything else. And that's why everything that is not living is going to be visible, because it's almost like you shine the living light from within on it, that it cannot hide anymore. And that's why I always felt like everything will have to be revealed.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're now noticing that being in this sphere of spirit, this is the original magic, right? This is when the lies cannot get through, because you only see what is. And you see the lie, and you see the truth in it, because a lot of stuff has truth in it. Everything has truth in it. And you see the truth. And some of the truth in all of those manipulated places, some of that truth is so powerful. And I said that this system has been invaded by us from within. And that's why we're gonna be done with it, because we've got the hold of it. And now all we have to do is let it go. Let it go. And this is the process, but it's a long process. It doesn't happen in the instant. At least for me, it didn't happen in the instant. And especially reconciling this in the mind, because our minds are so messed up by the system. And so there's a lot of work to do. But what I think we're trying to say here, that it doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel like work. It's excitement, because I was talking with a friend of mine yesterday, and we were talking, and I said, I'm so excited to wake up every day, because every day I'm learning something new about myself. I'm learning. I'm tweaking. I'm flowing, and it's like there's so much newness in this that is just so exciting. that it's not difficult. It's not, you don't want to fight anybody. You don't want to fight it because the thing is, it's like, I don't want to destroy it with my anger or something. I almost want to like laugh at it. And I am laughing a lot, which is good. So it's not like it's work. It's actually beautiful, beautiful experience to be in real reality for yourself. And it doesn't matter that cartoonish reality still exists. For me, that's entertainment. That's entertainment. And I believe, and not believe, but I know that every level, and there is going to be, even as far as as you know, government officials and all of that, you know, presidents and all of that stuff. And I'm hoping for Putin to wake up from that first, you know, as everybody's hoping that he might. But he's still a cartoon character right now that's playing a role for that system. But every level has to have some people that will wake up and do this. And every system, including alternative media, has been infiltrated with the real truth and the real awakening, probably more than any other system. Mm-hmm. So there is a lot of gems, and I don't want people to think that what I'm saying is putting somebody down, because it's not. In fact, what I'm trying to do is tell you that your spirit is so much more powerful than this freaking cartoon that you're protecting and playing into it and being a victim for it so it can live. There is no need for that. You're alive. You're breathing. You're living. You're experiencing this beautiful planet. And your possibility within you are limitless. How am I, by telling you this, putting you down? I'm not attacking you. I'm not going after you, you know, for your personality, or putting you down by telling you that you are so much more than the cartoonish reality you feed. You are so much more. You are a creator. That's what I'm saying. But when people sometimes perceive everything through their programming, and because their programming is self-devalue, it's just going to reflect as my words as devaluing their self. So it's, you know, like they feel like I'm putting them down or something. All I'm saying is, you are the most amazing being on this planet because you are the creator. Why would a creator stuck itself in a cartoonish reality? I don't know.
You just drop, or just like put that question right there into the consciousness now. Why would a creator devalue itself? And that's such a fundamental question. And if you are relating to ego, image, falseness, cartoon-like, I mean, the first person to laugh at is yourself. When you can break out and start to laugh at the ridiculousness of the shallowness of a life lived because of fear, I think that's the underlying piece that, you know, we hear it, everybody says it, you know, it's in all the teachings, but to fully stand in front of your own fear and find out what you're afraid of. And, you know, and so the identity, the false self, the cartoon will get mad at a Lily, or it'll get mad at somebody else, or it'll blame out there. It's, you know, that false ego will take things personally. And you've now invested your energy as a creator into the false at that level. And, you know, that's why it is an individual inner journey. Nobody can do that for anybody else. You just can't. I don't care how many books are out there, how many priests, how many, you know, new age gurus, how many channelers, how many healers are out there. You can go from one to one to one to one to the next until you're ready to actually confront yourself. It's really the confrontation of yourself. And I love Lily for your excellence and just saying that, this is me. I'm experiencing me, right? This isn't ego me, right? This is the expanding consciousness me that knows itself for what it is. And in a very, for me, it's also in a very juxtapositioned or dichotomous way. It's a tiny me. It's the tiniest me, all right? It's been hidden away, for so long in the big ego me, right? Until I finally found that then I could start to, and like you, Lily, it's like, oh, what's today going to bring? Even if today brings hardship sometimes or sorrow or confrontation, it's still like it's the magical journey. It's the magical mystery tour, and you can't, all we can do is talk about it, share it, build the energy around it, touch people the way we can touch each other. And knowing that that's really rippling out. We talked about that last time. It's like the ripple effect. We're changing the field. We are literally changing the morphogenic field. And here we are. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's almost like the option of choice is dualistic, right? Because you have this or that. So you ask the question of why would the creator devalue itself? Because it doesn't realize it's the creator. But once it realizes it's the creator, there is no choice. But as long as you're in that space of thinking you're not that, then you're just wandering around aimlessly. You don't realize the power within you. You haven't remembered your divinity. You haven't stepped into your full isness of your beingness. And in that moment that you do, there is no choice.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the trick of who you identify with that the system plays. And a huge part of that trick is a lot of people have felt for that they identified with this certain part of their DNA, like this race or that race or the other race. But and so even identifying not just with your ego self, but identifying just with that one part on the other and thinking and believing that is outside of you. And then, boom, you're hooked into feeding the cartoonish reality because you identify with something outside of you. The creator being will never do that because it doesn't make any freaking sense to a creator being. This is why a lot of us that and I don't know if it was a lucky or very unlucky for me that from a very young age I could see that I could recognize that. And I had a lot of questions. Why? When I was a child, I was like, why would people do that? Why? So I was like this, why? But on this energetic level, why do people do that? Why do they do, and go to church to be put down? When I saw these people as beautiful, I didn't understand why my mother, there was such a beautiful woman that I saw her as a child, this beautiful woman, why would she go and punish herself in church and say that she is sinful and this and that? I'm like, why? It's like, it's so painful to see a creator being stabbing itself. Stabbing, bleeding, doing all this stuff for some part of themselves they identified with, that it's there or there or there. And all it was a mirror of it that's just taking that creator power away from a creator being. And so a lot of times, I would see that and I would go, why? And it was very painful for me as a little child to see how people self-hated, self-mutilated energetically themselves, self-destruction, all of that stuff is very much was in my reality from a very young age. But I understand now that all of that energy I had to get to know So when I do face it, I know what it is, and then I don't have much struggle with it right now. Because when I see it, I have a lot more sort of experience with that energy that it doesn't have as much effect on me as it may have on some other people that did not have this sort of a way to know it. So I understand that, but at the same time, right now, we're like that, back to that little children, and it seems like that we have to sort of ask these questions and put them out publicly so other people can ask themselves that specific question. Why are you, as a creator being, devaluing yourself?
Mm-hmm.
This is my question to humanity. This is my question to people that are fighting to be victim or to stay in that victim mentality. Why do you do that to yourself? Because it is you who does that to the self. And that's why I talk about that creation. We have to own it. We have to recognize that as a creator being, you know that it's your creation. So there's no excuses. And so when people come up with excuses, you're like, why do you lie? Why do you lie when you're so obvious? And this is like when you were a child and your parents at first trying to teach you religion, and you go, why am I sinful? I'm not sinful, and the thing is like, and then they keep telling you, you are, to break that natural intelligence, to break the creator within, and so, but that doesn't mean that we have to stay broken the whole time. We're the creators. We can just boom and it's space dusted. Whatever we don't need, it's space dusted within our reality.
You want to know something crazy? You want to know what a mind F religion is? When I was a kid, because I did 12 years of private Catholic school, right? Which I was never like, oh, I hated it the whole time. None of it made sense to me. But going to confession, I was so afraid that I didn't feel like I was bad enough that I would make crap up to confess about.
Seriously. I did exactly the same thing.
Talk about a loop within a loop, like,
just to fit in. You just do it to fit in.
Yes.
You do the same thing. You're like, shit, I don't have anything to confess.
Yeah, so I was a good person.
Story.
Yeah, that makes up for me. I've been talking personally right now too, is very interesting, because what I would answer to that question is I was afraid of my power from past abuses of power. So I didn't come in the same way that you did, Lily. I came in very contracted already, very afraid already, and full of guilt. I mean, that wasn't even done to me. My first memories of waking up on this plane and my life were all of those things that had already been inoculated into my soul. And so my journey has been unfolding that package for this lifetime. And what I came to is that I really had abused power in the past. I had been part of that control system. My life energy had been given over many times to different control systems. Most of the time, almost always, I found that behind that was abuse patterns, behind that was torture, behind that was something else. So where that all started, I don't know yet. But I had to go through a process of not being afraid of my power, right? Not being afraid to embrace those aspects. But it's a very deep shadow work in that case, where you have to go down very deep into the darkest places, because you have to bring them back up. Because if it's in the unconscious, we do re-abuse our power. It's there. And so, while it seems like a very excruciating journey for many, 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 of us, it was a necessary one. And it's one that I would also say, embrace it. Because when you go down deep into those dark places of your own psyche, whether it's your individual or the group psychosis, it's the group psychosis we're suffering from. right? That I was able to come and clear out those aspects in myself so that I wasn't afraid, so that I could embrace my creator self, so that I could start to actualize that aspect. So, again, it's very individual for any person experiencing it or listening to it. And some will relate to me, some will relate to what Melissa says, some will relate to Lily. And I know, like, Claudia came into this world in a very, very hard way. She was given, I don't know if you want to speak about that, Claudia, or not. I don't want to go into that. So, but each of us came in the minute we hit this reality. I mean, I've remembered my entry this lifetime, and it's from that place that I have to work from. I can only work from what's inside of me. I can't work from what's inside of anybody else. And again, it's fear, and it's always going to be fear, confusion, doubt. When you have fear, confusion, or doubt, then there's an aspect of you that you will be working on, whether you want to or not. I mean, really.
I strongly feel that all of that stuff that we had to go through, and that kind of thing that the difficulties and all the experiences, even past lifetimes and all of that stuff, and all the abuse and stuff like that, I remember and have a lot of that too. But we also, because we had all of that, we have to and this is what I'm recognizing for myself, and this is why I'm actually very happy about all the negative experiences that I had in my life, and the kind of life, because I now see the reasoning behind it, because it's been a process for me because that energy is within my field, and I can do whatever I need to do with it. And so, like right now for me, and partially, I'm going to Paris right now to sort of, how to say that. France has been, I had a lot of lives in there. And through going through all these past lives, I recognize, I recognize myself through the past lives as well as who I am, that I am the creator. And so a lot of abuse of that power had took place in France in quite a few lifetimes that I had there. And it was very, very harsh, very bad abuse. So now working through it and releasing it, I am taking all of that as a huge bowl of gratitude. And I'm taking it to that land, and I'm going to bring all this gratitude and drop it in there as thank you for this awakening. Because my awakening in this lifetime is because all of those experiences. And so because I woke up to who I am today, I am in so much gratitude to every little tiny thing that ever happened to me here on this planet. I'm in gratitude, because I also remember my first time I seen this planet. The beauty of it is what shocked me the most. My first thought about this planet, how beautiful it is. And so this is what I'm coming back to, my original entry point here. And my original entry point was the gratitude to the beauty of this planet. And so I'm going to go back to that, and I'm going to take that, all of that seemed to be, for me, the system was trying to sort of create this hate for that or this or that. And a lot of things, it was like, for this planet, because the love for this planet is with me for millions of years. It is so deep. And so right now, I find that I need to take all of my experiences on this planet and bring it back to that original feeling, gratitude and beauty. And so because my experiences here, no matter what they are, you know, that I've been used and abused for you know, for my power, you know, killed, burned, all of that stuff. Now I'm in gratitude because it gave me a way to become a creator and have even bigger love and gratitude for this planet. Because no matter how much seems to be that I had negative experience, that negative experience, it still can be turned into gratitude, love, and through the transformation within yourself. And through that, I gain, through all that negative experiences, I gain even more love within me for the planet and for humanity. Because the reality here on this planet is beautiful. And it's even more beautiful once we transmute all the negative stuff. Because it's also becomes kind of like a test or something you passed or something that you achieve. Because as we were so encaged, our spirit was so trapped, that for us to find a way out right now in this time, it's such an amazing thing. This is why I say we are the event, because it is a freaking event. The real awakening on this planet that is happening right now, it's it's something that it was you know, it had a very tiny chance of happening, such a tiny, but it's happening. And we're here, we're saying it's happening. We're here and we are the creators and we're stepping into that. And there is nothing that this cartoonish reality can do. All they can do is be the cartoon characters that they are. And all we can do is perceive them as what they are.
Thank you, Lily. All I can say is I so resonate and echo within what you're speaking of right now in my own memories, my own millions of years here. I've always said this is the jewel planet, and I think that's what I'm starting to see is that that jewel is really returning, if we want to use that word, or becoming what it was always was. It never wasn't. We just forgot it or aren't there. That is complete here with us right now. And just to hear you and to sit in that knowing that it's already done. It's already done. It was always done. It was planned. It's like this perfect, well, I don't even know how to describe it. The words really fail, but it's like what we're doing is doing that choice, no choice thing. Once you are part of that, there really is no choice. You just become what it is. And so there's no fear anymore in me either, not even looking out and saying, sometimes there's harder days and it's harder to see. Sometimes things can happen. We see in that reality. I live in a bubble. Sometimes something pokes a hole in that bubble and I have to, but it's the less my attention is focused on the cartoon world, the less my attention is engaged with it. I hardly ever engage. I really hardly ever engage. It's like I don't need to. If I need to speak with somebody, I'm going to be speaking from my own truth center. So I'm not engaging with them. I'm bringing that I am within that spiritual self, and I'm just that. And if people don't like it or don't want to be around me or choose not to be ready for it, that's okay too. Because I'm not going to go out there and try to change anybody any longer or convince them. Because I've seen that was an error for a while, and I think many of us committed it, just so we could learn it. that we can't really go change somebody else. We can't fix somebody else. So I watch, I'm the observer too. I watch how people, like you were saying, Lily, how they make their stories up, how they justify, how they do all these dances inside. In my case, sometimes it's just because they don't want to be with me anymore because I threatened something in them, or I'm just my energy, not me any longer. It's just that energy is pushing on it. So it's okay. It's okay. But I'm not going to play into the psychological game of you said, she said, you did this to me, I did that to you. Even that's over.
I know.
Even that's over. It's like, it's okay. You'll come to it. I'll come to it. I'm only in the beginning. I'm always the becoming. I haven't become. I'm always a becoming, right? It's and that is so beautiful. And this is our beautiful planet. But this planet, I do too remember, Lily, very, very well coming. And that just those two words, beauty, or I could throw another one, truth. Beauty, truth, gratitude. If you're at those tone levels, if you're resonating at that level, there really isn't anything other than that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people can see that writing on the wall, so to speak, that, look around what we have done and how we treated ourselves and how we, humanity, have destroyed this planet. Because we listen to the cartoon characters telling us that we have to do this or that we have to kill off all the trees and use the trees because trees are a huge part of why we are still alive here. And for them to use it sort of, how they degraded. The cartoon characters degraded the value of trees for us. So we start recycling that living energy, killing it and using it only in its dead form. We don't using the trees for what they are here to give us is the living energy. But what the cartoon wants is for that energy to be gone so we don't have connection to living energy. So we become zombies. So they do all that stuff to kill off the planet, to kill everything and twist and turn everything that humans do it to themselves, which is truth. We are doing it to ourselves. We are doing it to this planet because we are entrusting the cartoon characters to make decisions for a living reality. Why are we doing that?
Right. So actually, when you say that, we, are the cartoon.
Yes.
We are the one that have projected that into that reality. Whoever started it, I can't say, right? I don't know, but as long as people are still giving that to that, they're their own cartoon. And, it's so silly to just continuously project that it's them out there when it is our own hands. It is our own thoughts. It is our own hatred. It's all those aspects of ourself that continuously are being projected back at us because we've projected it there on the screen.
Yes, and that all the programs for self-hate do that because that instilling that self-hate, like we talk about, that statement that is being used quite a bit, service to others, service to self, that divides you right in the middle and gives you self-hate. That kind of energy and that programming, it keeps on every level, and so it changed us and our intelligence that is natural to a human being on this planet in this body, because the spirit gives this intelligence to us. It's like I posted the little babies on on my Facebook page, how they come up with the solutions. The intelligence, the natural intelligence of human being is shining right there,